So the first talk in this mission is it's on the call of Faustina to this ministry. And that'll be the first part, and then I'll go into how God is calling each of us sitting here today. So imagine you are at some social function, or maybe today you're here and you're going to walk around the lake later or whatever. And while you're doing that, you hear a voice. And that voice says to you, "How long are you going to keep putting me off?" And you turn around and you think, where did that come from? Who said that? And you hear it again. How long is it going to take for you to understand what I'm calling you to? So you're intrigued again by what you heard, and you can't get it out of your mind. And then once more you hear it. How long will it take? That's what happened to a young girl, Helen Kowalska, who lived 1905 to 1938. Anybody good at math? How long did she live? How long did Jesus live? Coincidences? Not with Jesus. This was back in 1924. She went to a dance with her sister, and during the evening, Jesus spoke the words that I just shared. "Helen, how long is it going to take for you to respond to me?" She turned around and saw an image of Jesus crucified. She looked intently at this image, and she interpreted that as a sign that somehow she was supposed to enter religious life. She felt that Jesus, that's what he meant when he says, "Helen, how long is it going to take for you to respond to me?" She was thinking Jesus was asking her to come and follow him. She was being called. Well, the road wasn't easy. She was rejected by every convent, telling her she was either too poor or uneducated to be accepted. But she persisted and was finally accepted into the Sisters of Our Lady of Mercy in April of 1926. Helen became Sister Maria Faustina Kowalska. In February of 1931, Jesus appeared to Sister Faustina in the image that is similar to what we see today, the Vilnius image. And Jesus asked her to do two things. Write down everything I tell you in a diary, and then have a picture of my image painted just as I appeared to you. So she began the work of those two tasks. The artist, Eugene Kazimirowski, thought she was crazy. He was the person that was going to paint this. Her confessor was Father Sapako. And so Father Sapako was the go-between between Sister Helen Maria Faustina and also between the painter Kazimirowski. And she said, "I think the pales are a little bit too pale." "What do you mean?" It's just not right. So he goes to Paco, "This woman is a crazy. Father, this woman is a crazy. She know nothing. I am the painter." "Well, can you work with her?" "I don't know. She a crazy, Father. She a crazy." So this went back and forth, until finally Jesus appeared one evening and said, "It's not about the colors of the image, it's about what it stands for." That's what's important, what the image stands for. Well, something similar happened to me about 10 years ago. A friend of mine sitting right over there, Michael, we were getting materials out of a closet at our parish at St. Francis Borgia, where we store all our, we were working with the poor at that time and getting things that's called the round table, going out and fixing up houses for people. But there was a group in there when we were getting things out, and they said, "Why don't you come and pray with us?" I said, "No, we got to get going. We got to get these houses taken care of." So this happened 2 or 3 times. Every time we went in, they said, "Why don't you come and pray with us?" So I got out in the hall. I said, "Michael, can you believe these guys? It's a Wednesday. It's not Sunday. It's Wednesday, and they're praying at 9 o'clock in the morning." Now, isn't that bizarre? 9 o'clock on a Wednesday morning, people are gathering to pray. What's wrong with those people? They should be out here doing what we're doing, helping the poor. Michael said, "Yeah, I agree. I agree." Kind of a Martha and a Mary situation. Martha doing we were the Marthas, they were the Marys. You'll see later on, they chose the better part. So, 2 or 3 times invited, I was being called, and I said no. Shortly thereafter, during Mass one Sunday, our pastor at that time, Father Joe Warmack, was preaching. I was sitting maybe in the second pew, and he's standing up here looking, and he said, "You know, just when we think we've done everything in the church, maybe God's calling us to more." And I thought, you could have looked to the left, you could have looked to the right, you could have looked over my head, you could have looked in front of me, but no, you're looking right at me. I'm 69 years old at that time, Father. Why are you looking at me? So later he told me, he said, "I got something for you to do." The following weekend, there was a message in our parish bulletin about a film, Second Greatest Story Ever Told, by Father Michael Gately. How many of you have ever heard of Father Michael Gately? Okay. Very much involved in the Divine Mercy ministry. There was a group that was watching, and they invited me to join them. I told my wife, I said, "You know, everybody's asking about this Divine Mercy stuff. Why don't we just go and get these people off of our backs so we can get rid of this Divine Mercy stuff?" So she agreed. So we went, watched the film. I thought, kind of intriguing, pretty good. So let's go back and do one more. That was even better. Well, we got to number 5. And I'm not going to blow it because I want all of you to eventually watch it. Number 5, I was blown away. I should not be up here today. You should not be in those pews. We should not have that trailer. There should be no Divine Mercy in the United States unless you watched number 5 of that film series. 4 miracles happened in the transportation of the diary to the United States. And Father Yablonsky was the person bringing it, and Father Zapaka said, "When you get to the United States, I want you to spread Divine Mercy everywhere." He said, No. If I get, no, not if, when. When you get to the United States, because you will get there, you spread this everywhere. Just watch the film, see what happened. He should never have made it to the United States. By the grace of God, he made it, and look what we have here today. And we'll explain more about that a little bit later. So, is this much different? Him calling me, I saying no several times. Is this different how Jesus called Faustina? Because he said to her, how long is it going to take? Well, how long did it take for me to be invited to this prayer group? How long did people sending other signs saying, I think I want you in this Divine Mercy ministry, and I kept saying no. So is it different than how he invited the apostles? Come follow me. I'm walking along. Now imagine Jesus walking along the Sea of Galilee, and imagine it's you instead of the disciples. And he says to you, "Hey Mark, hey Barb, come follow me." "Oh yeah, I'll drop my nets. We'll go right away." I doubt if that's the way it would happen. It did with the apostles, but most of us probably say, "Who is this guy? What are you calling me to?" What's going on here? And what about Peter? Denying him 3 times. And yet, he asked him to be the first pope, to be the rock of the church. Peter, build my church. And now, so Francis of Assisi, wealth. Look what he did. Francis, rebuild my church. And this is how the faith grows. Usually very small. It starts small, like a mustard seed. And then it grows into something big. Something big. This is what our Divine Mercy Ministry has done. The Holy Spirit touched one man. He's not here today. I know he signed up, but his name is Kenny Obermark. He had, on retreat, an inclination that he should put Divine Mercy signs in yards like politicians do. He said, if politicians can do it, why can't we do it with Jesus? I trust in you. That's how all these images started. One man who reached out, touched others, 8, 10 of us in the ministry now, like dominoes, one knocking down another, one touching another. We don't advertise, word of mouth, little placards, whatever. But the backbone of this ministry is a group called Cenacle. It's the same group that I thought was crazy for meeting on Wednesday mornings. Now I'm one of those crazy ones for 10 years studying this. The Manual of Formation. And what's our focus? We do 3 things. The focus is on reading bits of the diary, a few pages each week, talking about them, seeing what Faustina is telling us, what Jesus is telling us. We also study catechism and a little bit of scripture. This group's been meeting for over 11 years, every Wednesday after 7 o'clock Mass. Now, we're on break right now. We're taking a couple months off in the summer. But the people are very faithful to coming to that group. Without that group, we would not exist. There is no way that we could be doing what we're doing and the way things unfold in this ministry, that you know that Jesus... Kenny always says, we got 3 great salesmen, Jesus, the Blessed Mother, and Faustina. We're just workers. We're just workers in the ministry. But they are the ones who get the work done. They're the ones who say, this person, this person, this person. Jesus equips us in our lives, even when we don't listen to him previously, just like with Faustina. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, I'm not talented that way. I just can't do it. He equips us. If he wants you, he's going to get you. If he's calling you, he won't let go. He'll find a way to get to you. You'll either meet somebody, you'll see something, you'll hear something, you'll get an inclination, but something will happen to you when he calls you. A lot of you sitting there right now saying, maybe that's what he's doing. Or some of you might say, I have no idea what you're talking about. He's not calling me. He probably is. Sometimes God puts people in our lives for a special purpose. Sometimes to shake us up a bit, or to make you realize that there's still more that he's calling you to. Around Thanksgiving of last year, I was struggling with some emptiness. I kind of knew what it was, a lack of humility, but I didn't know how to fix it. And then a farmer friend challenged me to read a spiritual book. Yeah, right. Bill Gegg read a spiritual book. Who hasn't read a spiritual book in 10 years? Well, she looked at me, and sometimes you ever have somebody look at you and you just knew that maybe God was standing right beside them and telling you, listen to her. Well, she was one of those people. When she told you to do something, you better do it. So I said, okay, you're going to be going on a cruise with your family. I'll read a book. I picked Resisting Happiness up, and it flipped me upside down. I hadn't read a book in 10 years, and I mean, this was amazing. It challenged me to go to daily adoration. Well, I used to go to adoration. We have adoration at Borgia on Tuesday, so I'd go on Tuesday for my hour. We have 24-hour perpetual adoration at the parish next to us at Our Lady of Lourdes. I live from about here to where you turned into this complex. From that, how many times have I gone in there? Maybe 2 or 3. Now it is a daily must for me. Something's missing if I don't go to adoration. It challenged me to go to daily mass. I thought 2 or 3 days a week was enough. Well, it wasn't. As I mentioned earlier, adoration has become important. I was in adoration, I would say in December of, not last year, adoration probably about 2 years or a year and a half ago. Right after I finished reading this book. And I was by myself at Our Lady of the Lourdes, and it was late at night. And you ever I said, Jesus never speaks. I don't hear his voice. I wish I did. But I get inclinations. And it was like, okay, you know how you put the signs on? Michael puts the paste on. You take the sign and put it on. You've been doing this 7 years, Bill. Well, you're done. You're firing me? After 7 years, Jesus? I'm no longer good at this? Nope, got a new mission. You're going to start a mission program. Really? I'm going to start a mission program. Yep, you're going to go out and tell people what these images mean. It's great that they're out there. People see them and great things happen. But they need to know more about divine mercy. So you're going to start a mission. Well, who's going to help me? I've got 2 people, and you know who they are. And that's how we started our first mission about 16 months ago, right down the road with these 2 girls playing music for us. I started my talk with, "It begins today." I was crying because I had heard this in adoration. It was very clear, this is what you're going to be doing. And it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing to be able to go to different parishes. And the important thing is, it's the people you meet. The people that you meet that come up and tell you their own experience of divine mercy. How many of you have seen the movie Chosen? The film series Chosen. And how many of you saw the last series? I think it was The Last Supper. I think it was The Last Supper. Okay, and I think it was the second one of the 3. Jesus and John are sitting there conversing. Jesus and John are just talking there. And it's the evening before Jesus is going to the garden before the Last Supper. And John says, "Jesus, I want to thank you for choosing me. Thank you for choosing me." The 2 embrace. And when I saw that, I started crying when I saw it at the cinema. Because if I was there and where I'm at today, I'd say, thanks for choosing me. Thanks for not giving up on me when I said, no, I don't want anything to do with divine mercy. I've done enough for you. I don't need anything else. Thanks for choosing me. Several of my colleagues sitting here would say the same thing. Thanks for choosing me to be in this ministry. I don't know where it's going to go. I know where it's been. I know where it is now. And it's amazing what's happening in this ministry. But John says, thanks for choosing me. Jesus is so good to us. Even when times seem horribly or crappy, our lives are messy, stop and think about what good is in that mess. Doesn't matter how old you are. Whether you're very young like Samuel, David in his teens who slew Goliath, or a little girl who I wear 2 bracelets. My farmer friend's daughter used to make these. One says Divine Mercy, one says Pray. I haven't taken these off in 15 months since I got them. I used to, well, I still do. Don't you look down at your watch several times a day and see what time it is? Now when I look down, it's whatever time it is. It's right next to pray. It's time to pray. And then I'm also reminded I'm a part of Divine Mercy. She made these at age 10. So it doesn't matter how old you are. You're called to do something in the ministry. Lord, what is it you're calling me to? Am I supposed to stay in what I'm doing? Or are you calling me to something else? And if you are, open that door, or if it's open, keep it open. But a door when you can before the Blessed Sacrament. To some, he's called you to do a little bit, some a little bit more, like dominoes in this ministry. One domino touching another. But back to it, our mission, our main mission is to save souls. How? No sin is greater than his mercy. No sin, not one, is greater than his mercy. The graces that he gives, especially in the sacraments, Eucharist and reconciliation, those are not little graces. Those are what we call sanctifying grace. They are amazing graces. Those graces give us the abundant life, not a mediocre life. He wants us to have the abundant life. Jesus hung on the cross and said, I thirst. He wasn't thirsting for water. He was thirsting for souls. And in Faustina's diary, she makes it very evident that this is what he wants, saved souls. So in closing, what's he calling you today? July 10th. 2026. Are you going to be a supporter of Divine Mercy? Is he calling you to put a sign in your property? Is he joining you to become or start a cenacle in your area, in your group? Is he calling you more to frequent adoration, or more to daily mass, more to frequent confession, as Faustina purported many times? Or maybe to some role in your parish. Maybe there's something in your parish that God's calling you to. You have 2 choices. You can keep going on not listening, as I said I did earlier, and saying, I don't have time for this. Or you can realize he is calling you, and you can say, yes, Jesus, it's about time. I will follow you. Jesus, I trust in you. Thank you.